so much a gear and review. As far as with me trying to help like younger players and stuff and decisions they make, gear they buy, being informed, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, I generally take my shortcomings, and that's a lot of times how I come up with what to do a video about, or either that or I'll take something I get a lot of different questions about. Today we're going to deal with a shortcoming. So basically today's gear review is about doing project guitars, or one step under that, having your guitar, for lack of a better term, hot rodded or modified to do what it is that you want it to do. First thing to look for if you're going to pick a project guitar, unless you're planning on changing the neck, this would happen to be one of the most vital parts of a project guitar, is how comfortable the neck is. A lot of other things can be compensated for, but a good piece of body for the wood, as far as the wood itself, and a comfortable neck, is a good place to start. A project guitar can be something very simple, as in maybe taking something, you know, cheap and inexpensive, like this started off life as a Squire Affinity Telecaster. For this one, 95% of this was work. I treated the neck with this because it was a raw neck, and I treated it with forgot what kind of wax it is, and I can't see it from here, but it was a type of wood conditioning wax that I put on it that helps cure and seal the wood. Basically, you put it on, let it sit for 30 minutes, polish it off, and you keep doing it until you get enough coats on it to suit you. It gave it a very slick, very comfortable feel, but it doesn't stick like lacquer. It doesn't make your hands stick. So basically, mostly everything I did with this, besides, like I said, treating the neck, polishing the frets, and put in an EMG Telecaster T-set of pickups, routed out a battery compartment right there, so it looks kind of neat, and added this little ashtray, which should sit up here, but I just wanted it there just to have something that didn't leave the back of the guitar looking so bare. And that's pretty much all I did with this. A little ornate piece there, but that's it. But it plays really well. Like I said, wasn't a whole lot of trickery that went into this one, and this one is not the one in which to actually teach you a thing or two about what not to do. But the main reason why this one's not a good one to teach you on is because everything that was done to this guitar I did myself. I replaced the pickups, did the wiring, on all the polish work, and everything was myself, but it wasn't that much. Now, this one is the one where we start to learn a little bit of a lesson. This started off life as a Schecter Tempest Hellraiser. It came originally with an EMG 85 in the bridge, a 60 in the neck. I don't know if the 85 was supposed to be there or not, but because I bought it used. I switched the 85 for an 81 in the bridge, and just really wasn't feeling the active electronics at this particular point in time for this guitar, so I began thinking about what I wanted to do to it. Now, the only reason why I didn't wire it myself is that technically this should be about a 3-hour job. For me, a 3-hour job equals all day. Basically what we did here, and this one's not done, but what we started with is we wanted to first of all get the EMGs out. So I picked a set of DiMarzio, I think it's a Crunch Lab in the bridge and a liquefier in the neck. I installed the bridge pickup upside down as per the way John Petrucci has his installed on all his guitars. Another thing that I wanted to change about this guitar was my I have a Tempest Custom as well, and my Tempest Custom has 2 volumes of tone, and then the tone is a push-pull coil tap, so I wanted that for this guitar as well. Right here is the blower switch. We're going to start with mistake number 1 I made. I did not research the place I was having the work done before there was already a problem. Don't do that. Research who's doing your work. Check around with all the other guitar players, see where they're sending their guitars. Ask them about this shop and see if you hear anything that you don't like. Because when I started to complain about the things that were going on with my build, the general consensus of what I got back was, yeah, that's pretty much, that's pretty much how things usually go there. Now that I told you what I wanted on the guitar, let's discuss what actually wound up happening. As you'll notice, it goes volume, volume, tone, blower switch. The first major mistake of this wiring was that I wanted my control knobs to be in the same format as my Tempest Custom, which should have went volume, volume, tone, and the blower switch should have been here. So first off, the switch is in the wrong spot. Mistake number 2, the coil tap on the tone. Up position is full humbucker on this guitar. Down position is coil tapped, which is opposite of the way that it should be. Unless you're wiring it, you can wire it any way you want to, but the standard wiring for a coil tap is down position is your regular wiring. And since these are humbuckers, regular wiring would be humbucker. Pulled position would be activated special activity, which in this case would be coil tap. So it's reverse. Up is normal wiring, down is activated special activity, which is coil tap for this guitar. So those are 2 things right off the bat that were wrong. Now the biggest thing about this is the place that I sent it to have the work done. Like I said, at any other shop that you would go to, this is a 3-hour max, maybe 4-hour job. At the most, you should drop your guitar off, get your guitar back in a couple of days. If the shop is backlogged, I would give them as much as 2 weeks. Now, 4.5 weeks later, I get my guitar back with the wiring incorrect. No strings put on the guitar. The guy said, do you want me to put strings on the guitar? How else am I supposed to check the wiring job if you don't put strings on it? Because I have to play it to make sure that all the switches are operating correctly, which I'm glad I did because they weren't. Did not put all the screws back into the back plate, although I did find them in the gig bag. I do have the screws, but that's besides the point. Why didn't you put all the screws back in the back plate? These are just, and that's going to be my thing with Tennessee, because the techs that I dealt with in Greensboro, North Carolina, I never had problems of this of this magnitude or this nature. You drop a guitar off, you pick it up in a couple of days. If he's backlogged, you might pick it up a week and a half, 2 weeks later. But when you picked it up, it was right. It was, and if it was wrong in such a minor way. But there wasn't like this big conglomerate. I had my guitar worked on by 2 or 3 different techs. I used the guitar tech at Guitar Center, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I used Tom Henry up in Winston-Salem, who's an awesome tech, does great work. I've used Dale Lastly at DJL Vintage Audio, does great work. And then I used this particular store, who I will not name in the video, and what I got back was just disheartening. I did pay for it, and I did go ahead and take the guitar, because they'd had it for 4.5 weeks. When they quoted me what it would take to do this, I was told it would take 2 to 4 days. And after a week and a half, I come to find out that the parts for the guitar hadn't been ordered, even though I showed up at the clinic. I showed up at the store 3 days after dropping the guitar off, and asked the owner specifically if the parts had been ordered, and he told me yes, only to tell me a week and a half to 2 weeks later that the parts hadn't even been ordered. I was given multiple dates to come pick up the guitar, resulting in driving down to the store to pick the guitar up, and the guitar not only not be ready, but you couldn't even change your mind at that point and say, well, that's all right, just forget it, I'll just take it somewhere else and have the work done, because the guitar was now off-site. The store never discussed with me that the guitar would be taken off-site to be worked on. So, and it's just a lot of things to the point of I paid to get the guitar back because I was done being aggravated by the lack of professionalism and the lack of good customer service and the lack of just everything that I was getting from this store. And I originally went to this store because I'd had a problem with a tech at the previous store where I shopped, because I thought he was being rude. But I tell you what, I'd rather deal with a rude tech who does his work than to deal with a tech who's very nice and feeds me a line and keeps me on hook for 4.5 weeks for a simple pickup, install, and a blower switch, which isn't that difficult. You know, I was even told at one point they had to take it home and figure out how to do the blower switch. And I mean, Dale Lashley at DJL Vintage Audio put a blower switch on my Paul Reed Smith Custom 22, and it took him 2 days tops. And that was with a pickup install as well. So no, I mean, it's kind of hard for me because I don't necessarily really understand that. So always research the people doing your work before they do the work. Now, what I will wind up doing is I will wind up taking it to another tech, and I'll have this pot and this switch reversed so they're in the positions of where I wanted them, and I'll have the coil tap put to where it should be, which is down, humbucker, up, single coil. But I'll show you why I like this wiring. I've had this wiring done to a couple of guitars. Oh, the other thing they did too is when I went for the blower switch, we discussed it. This is another thing where my words of be very, very specific, because if you leave something up to translation, it may not translate out the way you want. I wanted a blower switch that was going to be 2-position switch, which means basically up would have been normal wiring, back would have been humbucker straight to the output, no resistance. That's what I wanted. What I got was a 3-way switch that has basically up is regular wiring. I go to the middle position and it takes the humbucker out of the equation, and then down is humbucker in the bridge straight to output. A lot of ways I like to use my blower switches, I will take my, like if I want to use like a single channel amp type thing, I will go into the middle position using both pickups, and I'll have, so anyway, I get my volume dialed back, full chording. Now, I'll explain to you what's happening. When I have it in the up position, I'm using these 2 pickups with the volume rolled back. So one channel is the high gain channel, and the volume's rolled back, so it sounds more like a crunch channel. Now, when I flip the switch all the way to the rear, it bypasses the regular wiring, disregards what I had the toggle switch set on, and takes the bridge pickup straight to the output with no resistance, which means no control on this guitar will affect the output or the tone of this pickup at this point. So it's just complete, wide open. It allows you to take a single channel amp and give it a little bit more versatility. Now, another way you can use it is you can have three different stages again three different stages of boost without ever using another pedal. You know, just with your guitar, you could go from, so you could go from like, then you can boost it up with first off with. Now you want to go, you get a little bit more gain. Activate the humbucker. So that's just like a practical just thing that you can use it for, is just like I said. Another tonal difference you can use too is, like I said, the middle position has the bridge pickup disengaged. So if you wanted but you want it a little bit quieter, you can take one of the pickups out just by that. Here, watch. Single. Humbucker. Just one pickup instead of both. Humbucker straight to output. So anyway, those are little things that you can do. I really do like this wiring setup. In theory, I've had it done to a couple of guitars. I don't necessarily, I'm not 100% sold on the way it is on this guitar. I want both the guitars to be the same, and I plan on doing the exact same wiring trick to the custom. But I'm going to get it all worked. I'm going to get the ins and outs worked out on this one before I go messing with the custom. But new tech, I'm taking to the tech at Guitar Center, so I know it'll be right, and I know it'll be on time this time. So I gave you one hint, which was I told you who didn't do this wiring job. Guitar Center did not do this wiring job, but they will be doing the next one. So that's all you get. But I think it's a very good wiring thing if you're like a single amp, one of those single channel amp users. example. It's actually an original of mine that I used this on. But anyway, in a nutshell, that's my sort of what went wrong with mine, what to look for, and what to expect on doing a project guitar. Like I said, it goes without saying, research if you know whatever you're looking to put in there, research that. Of course, like I said, if it's pickups, research. You don't want to buy like 7 different pickups before you get what you want. I'm not going to say you won't go through more than one set before you find what's perfect, what's perfect for you, because it's good. I find it, if you're picky at all about your tone, it's very hard to knock it out of the park with your very first pickup choice, because you're trying to decipher someone's verbal description of a sound, and it doesn't always relate perfectly. It's nuts. So yeah, so it's not uncommon to buy something and then be like, nah, I don't think this is going to be it. That's normal. Another thing is, don't be afraid to experiment with it. That's the thing. But eventually what will happen is every one of these guitars will have a blower switch added to them. The one that was going to be the hardest to do is probably going to be this one, because it's going to require getting into EMG active set. If it becomes too difficult to do it, then I'll put passive pickups in it, just so I can have the blower switch option. Big yawn. But anyway, this has been Gillen H2O. It's not really been a gear review, it's just been me showing you some of the project stuff I've been doing, and to kind of give you what to look for when you do a project guitar, and to show you what I did, maybe give some of you guys some ideas of of things you might want to do on your next project guitar, because like I said, your project or your guitar mod, or whatever you do to make the guitar, that guitar personalized to you. And different people have different wants and needs depending upon what they like to do. But like I said, it can be cosmetic, or it can be something that's actual and functional. You've seen a little bit of both here. Like the Telecaster, most of this was there was some functional. The pickups were functional. The work that I did on the fretboard was functional. I was going to change out the neck, and then I realized that I looked at a bunch of other ones like this, and none of them really had the wood grain flaming that was going on in the fretboard. It made it kind of unique, so I was like, well, I may keep it. But I've been toying with switching the neck to this and the neck to the carbon for a warm-off rosewood neck. I played a guitar that had a rosewood neck, and I really liked, couldn't explain why, but I just really liked the feel of the rosewood, so that may be something that happens at a later date as well. But like I said, you know, a lot of this guitar was cosmetic, but the pickups were very functional, and the EMG Telecaster pickup set is actually pretty good. So that's very functional, and it cleans up pretty good too.
Okay, before we wrap this one up, I wanted to do a quickie update. I did, of course, do exactly what I said. I took it over to my buddy Jim at Guitar Center in Knoxville. Had him fix everything that was done wrong by the other shop that had worked on the guitar. So here it is now. As you can see, the knobs are in the correct place. Lower switch is, lower switch is where I wanted it. I also had him file me a new bone nut for the top because the other nut was worn out. The kid that owned this guitar before me had put like really big strings on it and tuned it down to B, and it it had really worn out the slots on the nuts. So when I put my low gauge strings on there, I could never get the action set where I wanted it, and it not buzz and rattle and fret out. And so we put a new nut on there and straightened up the neck a little bit more, and that fixed that. So anyway, I just want to show you that, you know, this one is completely done. And I did wind up doing all the things I said I was going to do. So it's like volume, tone with the coil tap. The coil tap is in the right position now. Down is humbucker, pulled up is single coil, and the blower switch is moved to the inside position. Yeah, that's in a nutshell. That Schecter's done. Like I said, I just want to come back on there because I know I talked about it a lot in the video. Just wanted to wrap the video up with everything I said was going to be done was actually done to the guitar. It was done at the done by the repair tech at the Guitar Center here in Knoxville, Tennessee. He did great work, and he had the guitar back to me in 24 hours, which was awesome. So, no complaints there. Anyway, I'm Galen H2O. Technically, this is really isn't gear review anymore. It's more of a tonique type thing, and this has been my do's and don'ts of project guitars.